Now, you're very welcome along. So, OTB Sports is back for another series of in-depth chats with some of the biggest names in both Premier League and Irish football history. We'll have some behind-the-scenes access, we'll be talking to some of the legendary names from the biggest clubs, and we'll be meeting the crucial people behind the scenes who make a Premier League club what it is. Now, it's all in association with Cadbury FC, official global partner of Liverpool Football Club, and you can check out cadburyfc.com for updates on promotions and giveaways. Our guest this afternoon needs no introduction, not least to Liverpool fans. It's a real pleasure to welcome to the show Mr. Robbie Fowler. Robbie, you're very welcome. Great to have you with us.
Joe, how are you, pal? Okay?
Yeah,
Thanks
very well. So, where in the world are you at the moment?
I'm back in the UK, mate. So I'm just sat in my kitchen. So it looks very clinical, to be fair, doesn't it? Yeah, it's
spotless.
Well, I mean, I've been cleaning it all morning, mate, just for yourself. So.
Okay, you're very house proud.
Try to be.
Because you do. I mean, you've been Australia, India in recent times. So you've been getting around the world. It must be nice to be home. Will this always be home whenever management is parked at some stage in the future? Will it always be around Liverpool?
Yes, I mean, I've had this base now for just over 20 years now. So no matter where I've gone, I mean, even when I was playing for Man City, I was living here and obviously commuting. Went back to Liverpool, I was here. Went to Cardiff and obviously Australia and as a player. And then this was always my home. And then obviously I've needed to travel with football as well. So I think that's just the life of a football player and a football manager. You know, you've got to travel about and. You've got to go where the clubs want you. Basically, that's the be all and end all.
I would imagine walking down the streets of Liverpool when you were 22 was manic, and you were being chased and autographs and all that kind of thing. Now that you're 46, by the way, it's scary to have you as 46. I mean, where are the years going? Now that you're this age and maybe the hype has died down, is it a nicer experience walking through Liverpool?
Yes and no. Don't get me wrong. I think that there's going to be a time when no one's absolutely interested in me, and I think maybe that's the time to start worrying, Joe, in all honesty. But I'm quite lucky. Whereas even when I was younger, I think people just used to see me and they just sort of leave me alone. Now, one of the problems I did have was, I didn't really get the fame that came with football. In all honesty, because I played football and didn't really associate anything other than football. But then it's all of a sudden people want a piece of you, and your autographs, your pictures, and and various other things. So it obviously goes with the territory, and you just have to accept it. But I was very, very uncomfortable with it initially. It just wasn't for me. I wanted to play football and only football, and I wasn't aware of everything that came with it. Obviously, I understand it now, and obviously as you get older, and you go through the years, and you know what football means, and what you mean as a person, as a player to to people who come up to you. And in all fairness, as much as I wasn't comfortable with it, I would never swap it because it's given me such a great life, football. It's given me things that I probably would have only dreamed of growing up. So I'm not knocking it. And if I could go back and do it all again, Joe, then I would be on that first plane. I would be on that first time machine, and I would love to do it all again.
I guess it's a privilege, isn't it? Because it's funny you bring that up, because I was reading an interview you did in The Guardian a good while ago now, to be fair. This was 2005, and you were saying, I don't love going out. I get paranoid about people staring at me. Even now, I don't deal with people looking at me. I can't do it sometimes, can't go out. I don't know how to react when people stare. I mean, I can't relate, but I can imagine it's a strange experience if you feel like all eyes in the restaurant are on you.
Yeah, and it's probably more magnified now with obviously social media and and camera phones. And don't get me wrong, there wasn't many camera phones certainly when I was growing up and come into the public eye. But nowadays it seems every man, every woman, every dog has a camera phone and he can snap you doing whatever. So at times there's a little bit of privacy that you want to have and you want to enjoy, but. At times you don't feel as though you can ever let yourself go because you feel as though everyone is after a piece of you, and that could be in a good way or it could be in a bad way. Yeah. Someone's maybe wanting you to fall over so he can put something. Don't get me wrong. I'm quite a level-headed lad, and I love signing autographs. But there's days and. Anyone who's ever been in the public eye will tell you, you're not perfect all the time, and there might be one moment where someone catches you off guard, and it might be a picture with your eyes closed. It might be someone wanting an autograph and you've had a bad day. Oh, not today, mate. Or give us 10 minutes, and that one person will tell everyone that you're a nasty person, or you're this and you're that. I'll sit and have pictures and sign autographs for everyone, but doesn't matter, because that one person who you don't sign an autograph or a picture for, he's the one who will tell everyone, and that's society today. And that one negative comment gets escalated unbelievably, and all of a sudden it's a different story then.
Really interested to talk about you and the management career. So I'm sure people have followed your career. You were in Brisbane, seemed to do really well in Brisbane, got manager of the month twice, pandemic hits, that puts an end to that. And then for the past year, give or take, you were with East Bengal in the Indian Super League. That was their first season up. That was maybe a more tricky time, and I guess that's management. But there was a quote I wanted to put to you. It was from Ray O'Donovan, who's out in Australia and has been for a long time. And he said, as a coach and manager, Robbie wanted a passing game, but also really structured defensively as well. He was a lot more structured than I thought he'd be. I expected more flowing, attacking football because he was such a great instinctive striker. Now, I've got to say, I'd make the same assumption of you as a manager, that like things like structure and tactics and organisation wouldn't be in your wheelhouse. So that's an interesting insight into you as a manager. It's not quite the instinctive, let's just have a cut out there, as maybe you were at times as a younger player.
Yeah, I think you understand football, and you understand you're never really going to win games by being that gung-ho and attacking all the time. So you have to have a structure. You have to have a way of playing. In Australia, it was obviously not my phrase, but it was phrased it was called Fowler Ball, and we had a way of playing, and we had an identity, and I quite liked that. And I think that's what your ethos and your mentality coming into the game as a coach or a manager. I think you've got to show people that you have that identity. To maybe see different parts of the game, different sides of the game. Now, as much as I love scoring goals, I think you are getting the basis of a strong team if you're strong defensively, and that's what I wanted to do. And I worked on the defence. I worked on the players in certain positions where you can go and attack when needed, but structurally we need to be solid and we need to be sound. Right. We had a way of playing, and we had a lot of possession, but we won games as well, certainly over in Australia. But it was all about possession in the right half of the pitch. Now, you look at football now, and there's a big emphasis on stats in terms of this team had 60% possession. The be all and end all, it doesn't matter what possession you've got. The be all and end all is, listen, you need to put the ball in the back of the net and win games that way. But if you're, passing the ball around the back all the time, the football becomes false. So you need to have a way of playing. And I wanted to get my stats in the opposition half, where we had obviously more entries into the final third. We had more possession than any other team in that final third. And I think they're the stats you maybe should be looking at, as opposed to just passing the ball around just for the sake of it, because it's a little bit false. It's a false narrative, and I think people can see through that. So. Yeah, we have a structure, we have a way of playing, we have that identity, but we want to play the right way. We want to be, creating overloads in wide areas where, you look at now, certainly Premier League football, and I don't, trying to advocate what the managers should and shouldn't be doing. But a lot of teams now seem to want to go, centrally, try and break teams down in the centre of the pitch. Now, for me, it's difficult, because when you're coming up against teams and they maybe play with 3 centre-halves or maybe 3 midfielders, the centre of the pitch is where all the people are, and that's where it's there's more bodies there. So for me, you've got to try and create areas in the wide positions where you can create those overloads, where you can get maybe 2-on-2-1 or 3-on-2, and that way the emphasis on creating more chances that way. So that's what we wanted to do, and that's what we try to do all the time.
So you've done all your badges, which is not an easy thing to do, by the way, and you've uprooted yourself and maybe your family at times in Australia and India. So that shows a real seriousness here about your dedication to the craft and trying to make it as a manager, which maybe people might be surprised by. So why management, and why hasn't it happened for you maybe a bit closer to home, I wonder?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's not really for me to say, but I mean, what you've said there, Joel, is spot on. Look, I'm prepared to work harder. I'm prepared to, to go and show people that I've got the credentials to go and be a top manager and be a top coach. I've managed in 3 countries now, so people think I'm maybe inexperienced, but, I managed in Thailand. I took over the team. We were 3rd in the league. We ended up finishing 3rd, and we got to the FA Cup final. Australia I took over a team who I think finished 2nd bottom, the year before I took over. I came over, I had, a clear identity, a clear pathway of what I wanted to do. And, we made the team ultra competitive, and we won games, and, we ended up qualifying for the Asian Champions League. Then obviously the pandemic took over, and then, funds were running low within the league, within the club, because the league sponsors were pulling out, which wasn't ideal. So I need to come home. But because I'd done so well in Australia, I didn't really want to sit around and, and just, sit on my behind and be happy with what I'd done. I wanted to get out there and I wanted to progress and wanted to grow a little bit more. And that's where the opportunity came over, from India. Now, I took over a team who were in the league below the ISL. But obviously the new owners came in and they wanted to go into the big league. And we done that. So that's when I came in. So I went over to India. We had quarantine for 2 weeks. We had 10 days pre-season with a team who was built for the league below. The Indian players, I couldn't have any say in the players that we were brought in, because they were already there. They were already under contract. I had a say in the foreign players that we brought in, and I brought competitive and good foreign players into the mix. And we finished ninth, a real respectable ninth position for a team that should have been rock bottom. And we were competitive. I think we lost one game by more than one goal, or maybe 2 games. But we done exceptionally well, really did. And it doesn't sound. Sorry, Joel, I know you're trying to talk there. I can talk, mate. Sorry, I know it doesn't sound, but when you finish ninth in the team that we did, I mean, I can't stress how unbelievably a good achievement it was.
No, fair enough. I take that point, because I maybe didn't do that justice. What experience do you have then of knocking on doors in England? Have you applied for many jobs, or what's been your experience on that front?
I've applied for a few, and obviously nothing back. So it is what it is, and
nothing back, as in not even interviewed. Not even. I've had a few emails back off clubs saying, "Oh, listen, we're going down a different pathway or a different entity," but I've not had an interview. Right. Now, I'm not sitting here moaning, and it's not for me to say that, but I'm a big believer in, if you're an owner, you're a chairman, and you've got these visions and these plans, and you want to bring someone else in, absolutely no problem with that. Fair enough, because I know if it was my club and my money, and I'd want to bring in whoever I wanted to, whether he's got a pro license or whether he's got an A license, it doesn't matter. It's you live and die by that sword that you want to do. I wonder, does your reputation as Jack the Lad, younger days, go against you a little bit in this respect? Maybe owners don't realise how serious you've been about this.
You know what, Joe? It probably does, in all fairness, in all honesty. But I mean, in my defence, there, I think I was in a team. I was serious when I needed to be. Now, I was never one who wanted to be serious all the time, because I think that would have had an adverse effect on my performance. Now, when I needed to perform and when I needed to train, of course I did that. But you have this perception, this rule where you think that you're messing all the time, and you're not. And I think every dressing room in world football, even now, probably needs a character like myself. Someone who will try and make or put everyone at ease a little bit. Because I think if you're serious all the time, I think it takes away the fundamentals of the enjoyment of football. Sure. We all enjoy football, but if you're straight laced and serious all the time, then that takes a little bit away the romanticism of that enjoyment of football. And I was never like that all the time, and maybe it has gone against me. But the fact is that you mentioned before, Joe, I've gone down the route of going B license, A license, my pro license. I mean, that's almost 8 years, dedication of wanting to show people how much I want it.
No, to be fair, it's not like you're saying I'm Robbie Fowler. I was good at football. Give me a job. It's the opposite end of the spectrum.
No, absolutely, and that's why I went to Thailand. That's why I went to Australia, and that's why I went to India. So, for an inexperienced manager who's managed in 3 countries, I'm not doing too bad. Who's done okay in 3 countries as well.
And will you stick at this, Robbie? Say it doesn't quite happen for you in England for whatever reason. Is there just like a thirst there to be involved in football at a decent level? So if it means travelling, you'll travel, or where are you in terms of the management experience and the next 10, 15 years?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I want to go as far as I can, and of course, I'd love to be over here. But if an opportunity comes overseas again, I will go there as well, because I think I've shown people that I'm dedicated enough and I want to do it. But I'd be confident of obviously getting in front of, well, not confident of getting in front of someone, but if I was in front of a chairman or an owner, I'd be confident of saying all the right things and doing all the right things in an impressive point of view, the way I want to play, the way I want my teams to be, from whether it be first team level right through to involving academies as well. So I've got a lot to give, and I'd be confident of saying all the right things and doing all the right things.
So there's obviously something in you that maybe misses football or misses competition, because it would be, I'm sure, tempting for a lot of people in your position at your age. Well, I don't need the money necessarily. I can put the feet up. I can play my golf, do a bit of punditry if I want. An easy life is what I'm saying, because management's not an easy life. So what is it you're kind of chasing? Is it the competition, or do you miss the dressing room? What is it that attracts you to management?
I think it's a bit of everything. I think the big attraction is football. Now, I've played a game, at a top level for years and years, and I enjoyed the game and I loved the game. And it wasn't work for me. It was a hobby that I loved doing. I got paid really well for doing something that I loved. Not everyone falls into that bracket or category of playing football for the right reasons. People want to do it because they want to earn money. They want to do. And look, there's nothing. I'm not having a go at them. Everyone's different. But I've got a lot to give. I love the game. I want to be involved day to day. I want to be on that training pitch. I want to win games because I still have that incredible desire and that appetite to go out there and get my teams to perform and get the right results, because I want to make people happy. Now, that sounds an unbelievably cliched answer. It really does. But I know that when I get results, I know that I can make lots of people happy. And there's a lot to that. There's a lot to football as opposed to just going out there and putting that, the training kit on and going out there. You're setting teams up of how you want to play. You're doing all the work behind the scenes of how the other teams play. And that end game, if you like, of getting that result. I mean, it's such a high.
Yes.
And you get that buzz and that euphoria just hits you. And when you're like that, you can imagine what these people who have been going the game for years and it's for some people, it's more than life for them. And like a good result from that particular game, I mean, it can make people's days, it can make people's weeks until that next game. And I'm aware of all that, and I love being part of that process.
Good man. Well, listen, hopefully it happens for you and you get the break.